Colabora aí, vai. Para de passar pra essa fase. Ah, matei! Deu tempo! Hey guys, Pedidos here, and today I bring you a new video about a Cyclone Slayer build that is specially designed for you who is starting to play Path of Exile right now, doesn't know where to start, which build you want to choose, and this build is designed to take you all through the endgame content with very low investment. If you are a mid-high tier endgame player of Path of Exile, I really suggest you to watch the next video where I will take this build to the next level by investing much more currency. But if you are a beginner, this build is especially for you. I've taken another guide as a reference from the Ezra Miro, a guide that I was recommending a lot of times to the other people, but I had many requests to make a video guide for this one, so I customized his build and passive tree to a cheaper and simpler one. So let's get into it. We're gonna use the Cyclone skill. It's a very easy going, easy to play skill where we move ourselves while dealing damage to the nearby enemies. Also, we can never be stunned while we are channeling this skill. So this is why we've taken those nodes in Pantheon. Pantheon board is this thing here where when you press the Y button, so you can open your Pantheon, and those are some benefits that you gain by killing a few bosses, mini bosses through the leveling process. So usually I take the Briny King because this means that we can be stunned for the past 2 seconds. If we can't be stunned if we've stunned in the past 2 seconds. So I'm taking the Soul of Lunaris and Soul of Grufkul because this way we can have some movement speed, but also more importantly some physical damage reduction, because this build cannot deal very well with the porcupines, those little chickens that explode by dealing tons of physical damage. So in order to tank those physical damage, we've taken these 2 Pantheon nodes. Alright. Regarding the bandits, we've helped Alira because helping Alira gives us plenty of resists, 15% all elemental rest, but also some global critical strike multiplier, which is very useful for this build. In the Ascendancy, first Ascendancy point, we get the Headsman Ascendancy, Slayer Ascendancy, and the first Ascendancy point is Headsman, because this way we've gained some damage, but most importantly, it means that we can take any reflected physical damage. And while you're playing Path of Exile, you notice that when you're getting through the end game, sometimes you only have one map, and sometimes you may encounter a reflect modifier. And I can guarantee you, probably most of the builds, maybe more than 90% of the builds cannot handle the reflect modifiers. In this case, we deal only physical damage, and by having this Ascendancy point, we basically mitigate this only modifier that can make our build perform very poorly in the map. So Headsman cannot reflect physical damage, which is a very, very nice quality of life, especially when you're starting the game. Okay. Secondly, Bane of Legends gives us some attack speed, movement speed whenever we kill enemy or rare or unique enemy. But the most important thing here again is that we have a culling strike of 20% against monsters. This is amazing, a very, very amazing quality of life here, because the regular culling strike means that whenever the monster has only 10% of its life, we can in one hit instantly kill the enemy. But this is a culling strike that you don't need any gems to have this property. You only need one Ascendancy point, and it's a culling strike of 20% versus the 10%, the regular 10%. So it's really, really huge. Basically, all the monsters now have only 80% of their HP. This is a very nice point here. Third point, I chose Impact, so we can have some melee strike range and a very nice increased AoE whenever you kill monsters, and also gives us more melee damage based on proximity against the enemies. Very nice here. And also this node here is very nice regarding critical strike builds, which is ours, because the base critical strike chance, it is very important. It's used to calculate how much critical strike chance we will have on our builds. Basically, all the weapons have their own basic critical strike chance, but this means that you can, independently of your weapon basic critical strike chance, we will always have a base of 7.5, which is nice. So this is the fourth ascendancy point that we are aiming for. Okay. In the passive tree, I chose to go through this path, and as soon as we hit here, I chose to go to the right, get those modifiers, those nodes here, because this way we'll have some blind percentage to hit the enemies, and blinded enemies have their chance to hit halved, which is amazing defensively speaking, because most of the monsters now, whenever they are blinded, they won't hit us, which is very nice because we're always close to the enemies. Also, I got this note here. When we are about here, we're gonna probably be near the level 28, where we get our Cyclone skill after the General Gravitius Act 3 quest reward. So these channeling nodes here will help us through the to increase our Cyclone damage. Then I got two nodes here. I skipped this one. Then I went for some Impale nodes, Swift Skewering, Brinkmanship, and then I went for the Forceful Skewering. These nodes here are very nice to increase our Impale effect. Impale is a very, very nice property for any physical build. And also around here, we're gonna probably be hitting probably the end of Act 5. So as soon as you hit the Act 6, you will be able to do the Lily's quest. That's on your left. As soon as you hit the Act 6, you go to your left and clear all the beach right there. So you'll be able to purchase all the game gems right there, and you'll be able to buy the Impale gem and then use it for the build. So you want to have all these Impale increase effect nodes here before having the Impale gem and putting it into your build. Okay. Then we got some nodes here, and then also dismembering here. At this point, you maybe want to have some more life, so you can go either to the left here or up here and get some life nodes. Then we have some modifier regarding the Fortify as well. Fortify, as you can see here, grants 20% less damage taken from hits, so increasing its effect. It's very nice defensively speaking, so you will also want to have these nodes here. Then you're going to be able to choose if you want some life again or some damage modifiers. If you want some life, you can go take on these nodes here, or you can take all these damage nodes here. Okay, it's really up to you and how you feel about the game. For the jewels, we're going to be using the pacifism. This one gives us -1 frenzy charges. I will explain you in a moment why we're gonna use this jewel. And also we have a very regular jewel here with some increased maximum life and a damage modifier. Could be increased damage, could be global physical damage, could be any melee critical strike multiplier, global critical strike multiplier. So any damage node here that benefit us could be in this jewel as well, alongside with the increased maximum life modifier. Okay, I will show you guys now a spreadsheet that I made in Google to help you out to decide whenever uniques you can use through your leveling process to help you out. So this is the spreadsheet that I was talking about. Here we have some link to the trade official website, which is very useful to look up for your items. You also have the poe.ninja, so you can look up for the currency prices, some unique weapons, unique accessories, and plenty of other stuff right there. And we also have here some uniques that I chose to wear while I was leveling this character. You can use this or you can level without them, but I can guarantee you those weapons here will make your leveling experience a lot better. Okay, So I also separated in a few options here. Dual sword build, which is the one that I'm explaining to you right now. We can also build the same character around another weapon possibility. It's actually a gloves called Facebreaker, where we only wear these kind of gloves and we don't wear any other weapon apart from the shield. And obviously, independently of whether you're gonna use the dual sword build or the Facebreaker build, we will need a few rings here that could help us a lot through leveling, not only through leveling but also through the end game. Okay, so to start off the dual sword build at level 6, you can buy 2 Screaming Eagles. The Screaming Eagle is a one-handed axe that could help us a lot with the physical damage at this point, and you're gonna use it until the level 20, where you're gonna buy 2 the Tempestuous Steel. This sword here has a very nice property called hits can be evaded, and this makes your character never miss your hits against the enemies. Basically increases our accuracy up to 100%, which is very, very nice. At level 43, you're gonna buy a Darius Passion, only one, because at this point you're gonna use a Darius alongside with one the Tempestuous. In one hand the Tempestuous, and another hand Darius. So we keep our property from hits can be evaded, but also increase our damage by some amount. At level 53, we're gonna be using a Prismatic Eclipse. You can also buy 2 if you want, and this sword is very nice because it has a property regarding its sockets, because whenever depending on the color of the sockets of your weapon, you're gonna be gaining a few benefits. In my case, I chose to have 3 green sockets because this way we gain plenty of attack speed, and this feels very nice while leveling and playing with this sword. And at level 68, we finally get 2 End Mites, which we're gonna be using for the end game of this build. All the weapons here in this table cost me 1 chaos each, and in this case, End's Might, I bought one for 3 chaos and another one for 4 chaos. And I can assure you, paying 7 chaos for your endgame weapons is very cheap. You can actually farm this very easily by doing some League Mechanic content, or I don't know, just by running Blood Aqueducts, dropping some stuff there, maybe Humilities there, or farming any other place. You'll surely have 7 chaos to spend on your endgame weapons. It will be very nice. Please just have in mind that by buying 2 End Mites and wearing them, you will need the pacifist geo that I talked about earlier, because End Mite has a property that involves some synergy regarding the frenzy charges, and you will want to have 0 frenzy charges on your build that I will explain it later. Okay, so for the Facebreaker build, if you choose to play the Facebreaker build, you can only buy the level 6 axes here, the Screaming Eagle, 2 of them, because at level 16 you can buy a Facebreaker. Facebreaker is a very nice gloves that have some very nice damage scaling with unarmed weapon, unarmed character, and because of that you won't use any weapons from that point. Only shields if you want to. Okay, you will buy only 1 unique gloves right there. At level 28 you can buy a Rigold's Curse amulet, only 1 obviously, and you'll be using that because this way you will be able to get all the properties regarding claw modifiers, attack damage, attack speed, and also global critical strike chance. All those claw modifiers will also apply to unarmed weapons. So this is a very, very nice amulet if you're gonna play the Facebreaker build. Okay, and last of them, a very cheap shield at level 46, which is grade old 1. You'll be able to use that until all through the end game. Okay, so don't worry about that. It is a similar build because you're gonna be playing Cyclone. I'll be covering that in a minute, but also a little bit more complicated. Not really, but a little bit more complex because you'll be needing some intelligence which I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay. Independently of whether you're gonna be playing the dual sword or the Facebreaker, you're gonna be wanting to buy a Praxis ring. A Praxis ring has a very nice modifier which reduces the mana cost of skills. You can buy one at level 22 if you want, or you can wait until you reach level 30 and buy a Thief's Torment. Praxis, we're gonna be using that for the end game after level 70 or 80. And the most important thing there is the reduced mana cost of skills that you're gonna be buying -8 if you can. At level 30, Thief's Torment is very welcome to use because it will give us plenty of survivability and plenty of mana sustain, because it has some very nice properties regarding the mana gain on hit and life gain on hit, not to mention the all-elemental rest that we get from the ring, as well as the increased quantity. It is a very nice ring. I use it for plenty of attack builds, bow builds, melee builds. I use it, and I recommend it. You use this ring until level 70 or 8ish. So then only after that we can use a Praxis -8 with another rare ring, which I will show you in a moment. Okay. For the gear, we have the 2 Mites, like I told you, and this is a very nice sword because it has not only plenty of physical damage, but also gives us increased AoE and has something regarding the frenzy charges, which I'll explain you right now. Whenever you have no frenzy charges, you gain 50% global critical strike multiplier from each of those weapons, and also some very nice accuracy rating while at maximum frenzy charges. Each one of those reduces our maximum frenzy charges by 1. A regular character can have by default 3 frenzy charges, 3 endurance and 3 power charges. So we are reducing our frenzy charges by 2 by using 2 Mites. And then we have a pacifism duel to reduce the 3rd frenzy charge. So then we have no frenzy charges and at the same time maximum frenzy charges, gaining those properties on the build, which are very nice. Okay, very nice damage boost right there. For the helmet, we have a very regular helmet with plenty of resistances and life. If you want, you can also craft a very nice prefix right here. But it costs 1 divine. I didn't craft this one because of the cost, the crafting cost, and I wouldn't like to have this build cost more. The current cost of this build is 60 chaos, fortunately. But if you have the currency, you can craft the melee damage and +1 melee strike range on the helmet. You can also craft on the gloves and also on the amulet. Very nice crafts right there, but you will be able to save 3 divines if you don't want to craft those modifiers. Okay, I chose to craft some more life. This way it increases our survivability. It doesn't really increase the cost of the build. Our amulet, it's a very regular amulet as well. All my rare items are basically with maximum life, resists, and a craft if you can. This one is not a different one. We have some global critical strike multiplier, life resists, and we also have a open prefix, as you can see right there, which I chose to craft physical damage to attacks. Our ring is a Praxis ring because we are already level 90. So by having a Praxis ring, we have -8 mana cost, and we can clearly channel our Cyclone freely. So it is a very nice quality of life right there. And we can use a rare ring as well. In this rare ring we have again life resists and a prefix open, where we crafted a physical damage to attacks. These gloves here, again, life resists, physical damage to attacks on the open prefix. A boots with 30% increased movement speed, some life resists as well. And a belt with life resists very regular belt as well, just to increase our survivability and to cap our resistances. The body armor is the cheapest one with the most cost benefit, which is a tabula rasa, where you can socket any gems. It will always be 6 linked, and all the socket gems, all the sockets will be white. So very nice body armor right there. We also have a divine flask. It will be very interesting to have to use alterations and then augmentations. Alterations is this one and augmentation is this one, to craft and get the instant recovery modifier. You could use, it's interesting to have immunity to bleeding, but you could be having something else if you feel like to. You can also have a diamond flask because this is a critical build. So we can also again craft by using some alterations and craft the immunity to bleeding. A lion's roar it's very interesting one because it gives us some armor, and it could be knockbacking. It will knock back the enemies whenever the flask is active, but also it will give us more melee physical damage during flask effect. These more melee physical damage increase our damage by a lot, so I really recommend you getting one flask like that. A silver flask is very nice because it gives us the onslaught property, which will increase our movement speed and the cast speed and the attack speed. Cast speed is useless in this build, but attack speed and movement speed is always welcome. We also crafted the immunity to freeze and a quicksilver as well. It's very nice if you can get an alchemist quicksilver of adrenaline. If you can't, just get a adrenaline right there. It will be the suffix increase in movement speed, because you can clearly notice the difference when you're not using a flask and while you're using your flask. It will drastically increase the movement speed of your Cyclone and thus making the build more comfortable to play. Talking about the gems, we have a cast and damage taken gem linked to vulnerability, and it is very important to balance the level of your cast and damage taken with the spells that we will be casting whenever it triggers. How does a cast and damage taken work? It will be at a level, and as soon as you take an amount of damage, it will cast the skill gems that are linked to it with a level requirement of X level or lower than that level. So assuming that the cast and damage taken will be level 1, it will trigger whenever we take 528 damage, it will trigger any skill gems that require level 38 or lower that are linked to this cast and damage taken. In this case, despite of the vulnerability being level 5, it requires our character to be at least level 36. 36 is lower than 38, so it will be cast by our cast and damage taken whenever we take this 528 damage. Okay, vulnerability is a curse that will make the enemy take increased physical damage, so it is very nice for us. Also, blood rage we can gives us some physical damage leech, some attack speed. This is very nice to use against bosses, and while you're mapping, you can also use this buff duration will be refreshed whenever we kill an enemy. Okay, kill an enemy could grant us a frenzy charge, but we will not be gaining any because of the synergy of the two Ensmites and the pacifism duel right here. Okay, dash and second wind. Dash is this movement skill here, but if it's linked to second wind, we can use it twice. And also we have a Vol Ancestral War Chief with Brutality. Vol Ancestral War Chief is this totem right here. Whenever it's active, it gives us some very nice more melee physical damage. And a Vol skill is a skill that recharges whenever we kill monsters. And by killing monsters, the Vol skill can recharge up to two charges. So whenever you find a boss, you're gonna be able to cast the Blood Rage, cast the two Vol Ancestral War Chiefs, and then just smash the boss down. I cannot cast it right here because I haven't killed any monsters in my hideout, but guaranteed whenever you are in mapping, you will be able to notice how strong the Vol Ancestral War Chief is. And it's linked to brutality to increase its damage. We have also a portal gem here, so we can, it works the same as the portal scroll. We also have increased duration linked to Steel Skin. Steel Skin, like Molten Shell and Immortal Call, is a guard skill that creates a buff that absorbs the damage incoming to us regarding the hits. In an easy way to understand the difference between Steel Skin and Molten Shell is the amount of armor that you have. Since Molten Shell involves the armor property to be able to determine how much damage you can take from the buff, whenever you have less than 11k armor, in this case our armor can go up to 7.9k. Whenever you have less than 11k armor, Steel Skin is more interesting than Molten Shell. If you have more than 11k armor, Molten Shell is more interesting because it could absorb more damage from the hits. Okay, so you just place the Steel Skin here on the movement button, and it will constantly be casting this Steel Skin. Okay, so you also have to know how much mana cost it will cost you, how much mana it will cost you with your available mana here on your character. Okay. We also have faster attacks, Leap Slam, and Endurance Charge on melee stun. This works beautifully because Leap Slam always stun the enemies whenever they have full life, and because we stun the enemies, we can also gain Endurance Charges. So it is a very nice synergy right there. To be moving around. We also have a Pride to increase our physical damage. We have Dread Banner to increase our properties from the Impale, and we never have to plant this banner. We just have to activate once, and then it will stay in our character. You don't need to in fact place the banner on the ground. We also have Blood and Sand main linked to Flesh and Stone. Blood and Sand and Flesh and Stone work very with hand to hand. Could I say that? Because as soon as you activate one, it will change the stance. So Blood and Sand stance, they have different functions. So as you can see here, I am in Sand stance and I have increased the AoE, but as soon as I change to Blood stance, I will have less AoE but more damage. So it's very interesting to use Sand stance while you're mapping and Blood stance whenever you're fighting a boss or you want more damage when you're mapping. And also, the Flesh and Stone should be linked to main, because whenever you are in Blood stance, it will main the nearby enemies, the Flesh and Stone itself. Okay. And the Cyclone, we have Cyclone with melee physical damage, Impale, Fortify, Brutality, and Pulverize. Those are the links that we're going to be using all the time. During the gameplay of the dual sword version, a viewer called Vargods reminded me that it could be possible to play this build by using the Facebreaker gloves. So a shout out for Vargods there. He made a POB, which I made a few tweaks in order to make it cheaper, and probably the easiest way to build this one. So I will show you right now how we've made this. A champion, I think it's even more interesting than Slayer right here, because we could gain lots of more damage. And also, champion is going to be the Ascendancy that we're going to be using for the part 2 of this video. So first of all, Master of Metal, because it increases the additional hits of our Impale. A regular character can have up to 5 Impale hits, and by using this Ascendancy we can increase the default amount that is 5 up to 7. And also, each Impale inflicted on the enemy will also give us plenty of added physical damage. After that, we have Unstoppable Hero, because it gives us some very nice attack speed, increased attack damage, and we also cannot be stunned while we have Fortify. And most important of all, it gives us a 1k armor and 1k evasion while I have Fortify, and by having this, I can guarantee you'll basically be immortal during the leveling process, because by having 1k evasion, you won't basically be hit by the enemies, and whenever you are, you'll be having 1k armor, so it is very nice for leveling. After that, we get some the Conqueror Ascendancy point, gives us very nice defensive layers, but also the enemies are taunt, and whenever they are taunt, our last Ascendancy is worthy foe, because enemies that are taunted by us take increased damage, and also they cannot evade attacks, which means that we are having 100% accuracy after they are taunted. Okay. The passive tree here, first thing that I chose was going here, getting Art of the Gladiator to ignore all the movement penalties, and then we went this way to have some melee strike range. Brickmanship is very nice. We also have some multiplier here, and then we can go up here, get some life. After that, you can either go here and take the impale effects here, or you can just go to the right and get all the claw modifiers here. Up to this point, we will probably be able to wear the Rigwald's Curse. And you want to have all these modifiers before you wear the amulet. The Rigwald's Curse is the amulet that are going to apply all these claw modifiers to our unarmed attacks. You can see right there that our damage changes whenever I take the points or not. And then after getting these life nodes here, you can go back, take all the damage modifiers here, and then complete the build. Okay. You can also pick up some life nodes here, or here, here, or here, if you feel you need to. Alright? The jewels right here basically are very simple. We can have, like I said before, it increases the maximum life with some damage modifier here, which is global physical damage in this case. And this is the only jewel. The pacifist jewel is only for the other build, okay? For the Facebreaker version, you don't need a pacifist jewel. Talking about the items, the first item here, like I said, was a Facebreaker gloves. As you can see, it has plenty of unarmed physical damage. So if you are not using any weapon, we can gain from 600 up to 800 more unarmed physical damage. This is a lot damage whenever you don't wear any weapons. If you're not wearing any weapons, you can use a shield, like I told you before as well on that spreadsheet. Was a great old one's ward, because it gives us some very nice physical damage to attacks, attack speed, life, and also chance to block spells. The helmet here is a very regular one, like the other build, with some life and resists. A tabla, like the other build. The boots here as well, with some increased movement speed, life, and resists. This is the amulet that I talked about, was the Rigwald's Curse. It has some very nice global critical strike multiplier, unarmed attack critical strike chance, like the Slayer Ascendancy, and this is also why we don't take the Slayer Ascendancy. But the most important of that, all the modifiers regarding claw damage, claw attack speed, and claw critical strike chance also apply to the unarmed character, which is us at this moment by using the Facebreaker. We also use a Praxis Ring or a Thief's Torment until the 7th or 8ish level, like I told you before, and also a ring here that could be more expensive than the other one. It has some very nice resists, some life, intelligence, because in this one you need intelligence, I show you right now, and also some physical damage to attacks. The belt is a regular one with life and resists, and the flasks are basically the same. A divine one, a diamond, a silver, a kicksilver, and a lion's roar with more melee physical damage. Talking about the gems, we have Vol Ancestral War Chief, Link to Brutality, and Dread Banner. We also have a Molten Shell. Like I told you before, a Molten Shell is more welcome whenever you have more an armor higher than 11k, which is our case. We have at this moment 19k, and it is likely to absorb more damage than Steel Skin, so more interesting right here. We also have, this could be a 4 link, because casting damage taken is a level 1 gem, and whenever we take 528 damage, it will be casting the gems that require level 38 or lower, which is the vulnerability case, and it isn't the molten shells case. Vulnerability increases the damage that the enemy will take, that is related to physical damage, and increase reduction could be also level 20, because despite that it requires level 20, level 70, it is a support gem, and it will be supporting both gems here regardless of the cast when damage taken requirements. Alright, we also have Herald of Purity. You can get this as soon as you reach the Act 2. It will increase our physical damage to attacks by a lot. Linked to Precision level 20, Blood and Sand, and Enlighten 3. Enlighten, for those who don't know, is a gem that reduces the amount of mana reserved. We also use this gem usually linking to aura gems, so we can have more mana to play our builds. We also have for the Cyclone a Cyclone Infused Channeling, Brutality, Impale, Fortify, and Melee Fizz damage. Infused Channeling is actually better than another gem because it gives us infusion. It is very nice as well for increasing our damage. So you're gonna be using this gem because it's better, but it requires 111 intelligence, and this is why I was not using this in the previous build, the dual sword version 1. Okay. Also, we have Flesh and Stone linked to main, because in Bloodstance this Flesh and Stone will be maiming the nearby enemies, and also a dash linked to Blood Rage. Blood Rage will give us some very nice frenzy charges when mapping, and also will give us some nice attack speed and physical damage leached as life. And dash is our movementation skill. So this Facebreaker version is very similar to the dual sword version. The only difference here is that you will be needing more intelligence to make this work, and also it's a different play style, since you're gonna be using the same skill, but you will be knocking the enemies down with your fists rather than using any weapons. And that's it. This build was focused mainly on the beginners that are thinking about playing Path of Exile. It's a suggestion. It's a melee build. Cost me 60 chaos to buy all the equipment. Could take you all through the end game, and certainly will be better as soon as you start to put more currency into it. If you're looking for the next upgrades for the build, please make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can stay updated whenever I post the next version. I'll be streaming as well. Overall speaking, it's a very nice build to play, very easy to play and understand, because it doesn't require any profound knowledge, any complex knowledge. Doesn't really need any Abyss Jewel, Cluster Jewel, Timeless Jewel. Only pretty straightforward equipments, a few uniques like you saw, and it's really cheap, really fun build to play as well. After all, this game is about fun, and in Path of Exile have many different ways to build a character. This was just one of them, and the Facebreaker was another one, and you'll start to notice that are basically infinite ways to build our character, and I really like this game. Hope you guys liked it too. Okay, so thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you next time.